Hey 876 nails babes, how are you guys doing? Today I'll be doing some, I think, medium long, I would say, full set and some encapsulation. So let's jump right in the video. I already went ahead and pushed my cuticles back. Now I'm coming in with my cuticle bit at around 15,000 RPMs, and I'm just going to use this to get extremely close to the cuticle. If you're having problem using a sanding band to get close to the cuticle, I highly recommend getting a cuticle bit because this is going to help you with lifting. The cuticle bit is super gentle. It will not cut your clients easily, so it's a safe way to get in those cuticle areas and in your side walls, get all that excess cuticles out, and prep the nails properly for your application. Prepping contributes to like 90% of your lifting, so you want to make sure you spend time and clean your cuticles up properly. And we mainly focus on the cuticles and the side walls because most of the lifting starts at the cuticle area. So now I'm going to come in with my sanding band at 5,000 RPMs. I'm going to go from the right to the left and gently over the surface of the nails. Whenever I am prepping my nails, I am not applying too much pressure to my client's natural nail because you can damage the client's nails like this and you can create friction. It can start to burn, so you don't want to apply too much pressure while doing this. Do so very gentle. I'm using a fine sanding band to do my prep work. You don't want to use a coarse sanding band because that can be too aggressive for your client's nails. So now I'm coming in with my nipper and I'm going to nip from the right to the left. This is how I work. You want to always make sure you develop a routine because this is going to help you with timing. If you're not comfortable with nipping your client, you want to make sure that you do not do it or do as much as you're comfortable with. Now I'm going to dust any excess dust that's on the nail. That way we are working on a clean nail bed. So now it's time for our tip application. I'm going to come in with these coffin tips and I'm going to measure the tips, making sure they fit from side wall to side wall. You always want to make sure your tips are fitting from side to side. That way you don't have lifting very easy. It's not going to break very easy, and you want to also make sure it fits from side to side because this is how your nail is going to have the full strength. Now that I'm done measuring my tips, I'm going to come in with my KDS glue, apply this glue to the client's nail. Whenever I'm applying the glue, I do so exactly at the free edge. You do not need to glue your tips halfway through the nail. You only need to glue the tips exactly at the free edge. You want to leave as much nail bed to work on because the more nail bed you leave, the more the acrylic is going to adhere to the nail properly and the longer your nails are going to last. So now, as you can see, I'm flipping my client's hand because this is going to help me to make sure that the tips are on straight from the jump. It is very hard to get your shape back whenever you have the tips on crooked, so you want to make sure the tips are on straight. That way that gives you a jump start of having a perfect shape. So don't be afraid to turn your client's hand, look at it, make sure that it's on nice and straight. Now that we're done with that, I'm going to come in with my scissors. You can also use a tip cutter for this, but I'm just going to come in with my scissors and cut to my client's desired length. I usually let my client have a quick look, make sure we're on the same page, and then I come in and I cut the rest of the nail. Now I want to make sure that all nails are on the same length, so I put the cuticles next to each other, and that's how I'm able to make sure that all nails are on the same length. So just put your cuticles next to each other, and then when I'm done with this hand, I'm gonna come in on the second hand, cut, then I'm going to measure the second hand with the first hand, making sure it's all on the same length. I make sure that it's all on the same length from at this stage, because then I don't want to see some arrow at the end and have to fix it while the acrylic is on, because that's going to take much more time. So I make sure that the tips are on the same length in the beginning and making sure that it's straight since the beginning as well. So now I'm going to come in again with my scissors, and I'm just going to give this a quick pre-cut. This is going to give me a quick jump start with the shaping, and then I'm going to come in with my hand file and perfect the shape. Whenever I'm shaping in the beginning, I do not spend too much time on shaping. I do get it to a level where it's pretty decent. I love how it's looking, but I'm not coming with, you know, the fine details, because the acrylic application does shift the shape a little bit. So I'm not going to waste time making the shape 100%, but I do make sure that it's at a pretty decent level. So like I said, after this I'm going to be shaping, and then I'm going to jump right in the application. Now that I'm done with my pre-shaping, I always blend the tip to the client's nail. Get rid of that sharp ledge, that way my acrylic will flow nice and smooth. Now that I'm done with that, I dust the client's nails off, and I'm going to come in with lint-free wipes and some young nail swipe to cleanse and dehydrate the nail. Remove any excess oil as well. Now I'm going to come in with my protein bond, and I'm going to give this two coats of protein bond. One thing I must say with the dehydrator, I did notice, like, ever since I start using dehydrators, my nails are lasting much longer. So if you have never used dehydrators before, you should definitely give it a shot. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to pour my monomer out, and then I'm going to set my acrylic brush in it. As you guys know, this is the 876 monomer. All products used in this video will be listed in the description box. So whenever you're done, if you see anything that you like or anything that I use, it's all listed in the description. Okay, so let's finish up with the video. So like I said, I always leave my brush in the monomer. That way I get my brush nice and wet. You don't want to have your brush halfway dry. You want to make sure you completely submerge your brush in the monomer. So for this set, we're going to be using Nudes Please and Ocean. These are the two colors we're going to be using, and I think we're going to be using Young Nails Core White as well to mix in with the blue. So whenever you're doing your acrylic application, you want to always make sure that you're working with a paper towel that works for acrylic nails. So you want to make sure you get the Viva paper towel and get the one that's marked cloth. You need something that's going to remove the acrylic from the brush when you go to wipe it off. So now we're going to shoot for a one ball method. With a one ball method, you have to make sure that your liquid to powder ratio, you're working on it. Because when you come in to do a one ball method, you want to make sure you pick up enough acrylic that's going to cover the entire surface of the nail. You want to make sure that the acrylic covers the structure of the nail with only one bead. So this should cover your cuticle area properly. This should build your apex, and this should take you to the tip of the nail. If you do a one ball method and you notice that some parts are missing, like your apex is not high enough, you have to go back in your liquid, get another bead, and finish building your apex. So like I said before, for this I'm going to be doing a cutout design, but I didn't use the cutter because I'm going to be placing flakes over this. And in my opinion, if I'm going to cover the line with flakes, I do not need to make this line super sharp. So what I did was I placed my bead down, then I used my brush to clean the excess acrylic off the sides. This brush that I'm using is a number 14 brush as well. So for those of you guys asking the size. So now I'm going to come in one more time, completely submerge my brush. Then I'm going to pick up a large bead, place this just above the cuticle area. Whenever you're applying this bead, you want to make sure that your client's finger is facing downwards towards the table. That way, naturally, the acrylic is going to flow to the tip of the nails. You want to come in and clean your sides up using the tip of your brush. You always want to make sure you use the tip of the brush to clean your sides up. Now we're going to come in and remove all the acrylic that we do not need off the side of the nails before the acrylic dries, because if the acrylic dries, I'm not going to be able to mold the acrylic in place like I want it to, and to create that line or that cutout look that I'm going for. So I'm making sure that I'm working as fast as possible before the acrylic sets too much and it's going to be harder for me to mold it. When you're doing a one ball method, you definitely do not want to work with a dry bead, because this is so much harder to flow and it's going to be harder to get this bead to the tip of the nail. So if you're going for any type of bead, if you cannot pick up a perfect bead, I would suggest for you to go on the wetter side than the drier side, because at least if it's too wet, you can always come and control your acrylic or try to hold it in place, but at least it's going to flow all the way to the tip of the nails. When I am picking up a large bead, I leave as much liquid in the brush as possible. So when I submerge my brush, I give it one gentle tap just to remove some of the monomer, not too much monomer. You need to leave enough monomer in your brush that's going to completely polymerize your acrylic. So you don't want to remove too much monomer, like I said, because this is going to give you a dry bead. So when you go in your monomer and you're coming up, just give it one gentle tap towards your client, and then you're going to use the opposite side to bounce and press in your powder. Then you're going to come and set the bead down just above the cuticle area. Point the client's finger downwards and allow the bead to flow to the tip of the nail while controlling it and creating the structure for your nails. that we are done with our nude, I'm just gonna come in with the blue and a little bit of white just to mix in a little bit to create a effect, and then I'm going to apply my gold flakes. One thing I must say is whenever you're doing a design like this, you want to try to make sure that whenever you apply your nude, try not to apply it too thick, because remember, you have to leave space for your design, you have to leave space for the foils, and especially you have to leave space to encapsulate the nail with clear. And if you already build this nude thick, you're not going to have enough space for your flakes and to encapsulate with clear. So try to have in mind everything that you're going to be doing and build your nail accordingly, because I must say I did build this a little bit too thick, and when I was drilling I end up removing some of the foil. But like I said before, try to keep in mind how many more layers you have to add to the nail and build the nail accordingly. Whenever I'm applying flakes, I try to wet the acrylic. That way the flakes are going to stick and it's not going to move whenever I come in to encapsulate the nail. I did leave the flakes on the second hand, the first hand, before I encapsulate it, because I just wanted to give the flakes some time to set, and that way when I come in with my clear, it does not move. That's one thing I learned with working with glitters, flakes. When you're doing encapsulated design, you cannot rush the design too much, because then you're going to create a mess and it's not going to give the effect that you're going for. Now that we're done with our application process, the next step is to shape the nails. Whenever you are shaping, you have to make sure that your hand file is not dull because you're going to spend so much more time shaping the nail with a dull hand file. Make sure your hand file is nice and new and ready to go. So whenever I am shaping, I always make sure that my client's hand is completely relaxed. That way I have full control over the hand and the shape that I'm going for. So whenever you're shaping and you place the hand file up against the nail, you should already see how the shape is going to come out. So when you put the file up against the nail, you're going to already see your shape forming out. So all you really need to do is go in and shape the nail. You can't shape gentle. You have to shape like you want the shape to come out like. Shape with some confidence and some strength on the hand file. So that's one thing, making sure your hand file is nice, not too dull. And whenever you're shaping and you place the hand file up against the nail, you should see your shape forming out. Also, when you're shaping, make sure you get underneath the nail as well, because if you do not get underneath, that's going to reflect on top. Sometimes we have hangnails underneath and we're on the tops and the sides struggling, thinking that's the problem. But the real problem is underneath the nails. That's the whatever that's hanging under. Maybe it's the tip or acrylic. You want to make sure you get rid of that. That way your shape on top is going to look nice and crisp. Always make sure that I turn my client's hand, look at it from the client's view, and this is my time to fix anything that I see that needs fixing. You always want to make sure you do not skip this step. This is the view that the client see for the next 3-4 weeks. So definitely go ahead and turn that hand around, make sure everything looks good. And that's what our shaping is looking like. Now that we are done with our shaping, I'm just gonna come in with my drill at 20,000 RPMs. You do not have to start it off at 20,000. You can start at 14,000 and work your way up, but this is what I am comfortable with right now. Whenever you're drilling, you want to make sure that you seal your client's cuticles, because if you prep the nail properly and you didn't seal the cuticles, you're still going to have lifting. So make sure that you are sealing your client's nail. If you have a problem getting close to the cuticle, what you can do is after you're done drilling, you come in with your cuticle bit and you finish going in with the detailed work of sealing the cuticle. All you have to do, like I said before, is come with a cuticle bit and go around in the cuticle area and just make sure that that is nice and tight and snug to the nail. You do not want to leave any acrylics on the skin, because if you do so, you're going to have lifting and your nails, they're not going to be nice and cute. So get in those side walls and remove all that acrylic and make sure you seal your nails. Also, I do most of my work with my drill because I do not like to come in after and do that excess work with my hand file. So I try to make sure that I use my drill to do as much work as possible. I did come in and switched my bits out because that bit was not giving. It's kind of dull, so it wasn't getting the job done. So I did have to switch out to one of my newer bits, and now I'm doing much better, as you can see. So yes, so also what you want to use the drill to do is, if you think the free edge of your nail is too thick, you can always use your drill to get this part way thinner. So not because you apply and fat and it looks thick doesn't mean it has to stay thick. You can come in with your drill and use your drill bit to make this nice and thin, or to your desired liking. I know some people say it's supposed to look like a credit card, but mine look like how I like to see it looking. I guess it's looking like a credit card, but sometimes it's different. It depends on my client as well. Some clients, you just cannot give them thin nails because they're going to break it or it's going to chip. For the most part, I do not have clients coming back with chipping or breakage, so I really like that. So if you don't want your nails to break easily, you have to make sure that you build the apex properly. The apex plays a very big part in your client's nail breaking. You have to make sure that it has that structure, so if it hits on anything, it has the support that it needs. The longer the nail is, the higher the apex needs to be, because if the nail is longer, it means that it needs more support. Whenever I am drilling, I make sure that my pinky finger is resting on my client hand or my hand. That way I have complete control over the drill. You never want to leave your pinky finger just hanging off, because then the drill is going to be all over the place and making circles around your client's nail, and we all know how that works. It's so frightening. I hate it. So to prevent that, you want to make sure that the pinky finger is resting on either your hand or your client's hand. That's going to help you to keep your drill stable. So now that I am done with the drilling, what I'm going to do is come in and reshape the nail. You always want to make sure you reshape the nail after you drill because the shape tends to shift during the drilling process. So you want to make sure you come in, get your shape back, making sure everything is nice and tight. And while we are on this video, please make sure you pause this video and hit that like button right now if you're enjoying this video, because as you know, the more you like, the more you comment, you know, it's more interaction, more engagement, and YouTube is going to push my content even more. So thank you in advance. Make sure you hit that like button. So yeah, like I said before, just coming in, refining my shape. Then what I'm going to do is dust all that excess dust off the nail, and then I'm going to come in and top coat the nail, and then that's going to be the final results. So thank you guys so much for watching 876 Nails. Thank you for the continuous support. Please just keep sticking around because I'm being consistent and I'm going to just continuously drop content. Your girl got you. And one thing, I wish I could put the sound on, but my client was like, oh, I finally found a nude that matched my skin tone. She have the name of it, everything. So this is a perfect shade for your clients with lighter skin. It's called Nude Please. So if you were looking for a color, this is the color for you. You definitely want to go ahead and check my link out. I have over 18 color acrylics. So each of your clients will definitely have a selection, something that they're going to like and suit their skin tone. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next video. And I believe this top coat that I'm using is the D&D non-wipe top coat, and that's it. Wiping my sides, making sure if any acrylic leak off to the side, it's not going to affect my shape, and that's the final results. Thank you guys. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, keep practicing. Bye.